Welcome to International Freedom Group. Everyone, I'm so excited for this episode of our International Freedom Group podcast series. Did you know we have an event coming up in July? Check the dates. Go to christianharvestinternational.org. Check the dates. We are excited to host an event this year that's going to bring people from all over the country, maybe even all over the world, to Colorado. Small town in Colorado, Elbert, Colorado, where we're hosting this. It's cowboy country out here. You're going to love it. And I'm really excited. These episodes are just to talk a little bit about what we're doing in IFG, but more than that, to talk about what God is doing within International Freedom Group and to introduce you to our founders, our founding members. And today I want to introduce you to Bethann Farris, one of our founding members in the International Freedom Group. And Bethann, it's really interesting and exciting to have you with us in IFG as a founding member.
I'm really excited to be a part of it as well. It's
Yeah.
been a blessing.
Excellent. Well, it is a blessing for you to have or to be part of what we're doing as well. And so let's just kick it right off and let's just talk a little bit about you. You are a member, but you're also a ministry leader. You run an entire ministry organization out of Livingstone's communities in Ohio. And part of your responsibilities, as I understand, is you run the Deliverance arm. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about your role there.
So in Livingstone's communities, we're a house church network, and I run the Inner Healing and Deliverance network of our ministry. And it has grown over the years to be more of a training center for multi-churches to come and get training. And so we have had many trainings up there, and you guys actually came up there and kicked it off for us.
That was such a fun time.
Yeah, I think that was back in 2020 too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ever since then, we've been training multiple churches in Deliverance in the Cleveland area. So we're really a place for people to come and get training, which we really love. And even a lot of the African American churches are coming to us for training, and we've brought in Anthony Turner to come in and teach that for us as well.
Wonderful.
So yeah.
Anthony's amazing.
Yeah.
Let me dig in on something you just said a moment ago. You said that you're now training multiple churches in the area.
Yeah.
And that's apostolic.
Yeah.
Okay, that's incredible. So what you've done, now I remember coming out and we developed that school and we just essentially we said, here's what we have, take it, use it, and be fruitful. And you did. And now you're at a place where you've got other churches who are tying into you almost like a network. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. What I hope to start, and really it's kind of getting off the ground, is to start a network in Cleveland, Ohio, and in the area around Cleveland. And right now I think we have about 3 to 4 churches that we are working with. And over the last few years, we had taken all of them through classes, and we had 2 different classes that we took them through, and both of them were like 2 to 3 days of training and hands-on training, and to teach them the basics of deliverance. And then for our second training, we would have them come back for those who really wanted to learn and really wanted to get their hands in it. We would have a class, and we would actually have a deliverance session going on and show them how it's done. So, and they really appreciated that. And a lot of them, until they saw it, they didn't understand from the teachings.
So you're giving them a practical view of what's happening behind closed doors, so to speak.
Yeah. And then from there, we tell them, if you want resources, if you want to further your training in this, we already have a lot of people coming to us. Come in, we will train you, and then what we also believe is that every person has their own level of gifting and their expertise in deliverance. And so the thing that we carry is not going to be the same as what they carry. And so what I hope to start is that they will each have their own arm of deliverance, and expertise, and like, okay, you deal with children. Okay, I have this child that needs deliverance. Here, let me send them to you.
Wow.
And so they really appreciate that. They really love the networking part
Wow.
of that.
You're teaching them to be successful, helping other people,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're supporting them on the back end.
Yes.
That's incredible. Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Do you still see clients?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, I see them probably twice a month,
Yeah.
if not more.
Right. Well, right, of
Yeah.
course. Well, you're leading the network,
Mm-hmm.
and you're leading your deliverance ministry,
Yeah.
organizing your teams, I
Yeah.
imagine, and that takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of work.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's fantastic. What a cool thing to hear. And I'm really tied into this because I was one of the teachers that you've brought in several times
Yeah.
to those schools. And so I really appreciate what you're doing out there
Yeah.
and
And
helping
they
a lot.
love hearing your teachings.
Yeah.
And yeah, they do. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And that's really cool. But let's switch gears here real quick and let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you've done to provide resources to your clients, to the people who follow you. And I understand you've written a couple of books.
Yeah. So I had gone to Wagner University and I graduated there with a master's in inner healing, deliverance, and spiritual warfare. And from that, God had directed me to write a book. And when I wrote it, the Lord really had me ask, like, what did I feel like was missing from the deliverance? What would I change?
Yeah.
And I felt like a lot of people were missing some foundational stuff. I was getting a lot of people who haven't been in the Word, who want deliverance and they want freedom, but they don't have the foundations of some of the things to maintain their deliverance.
So they're coming to you too early for
Yeah.
deliverance without having that work done.
Right. And I also have a waiting list, about a month or two waiting list for people, because it can get a little overwhelming to do so many in a month. So I have like at least 2 months. So I needed something to give them that while they're waiting, to give them something to do.
Sure.
And to really put the inner healing and deliverance in their hands and say, this is your journey. I want to teach you how to go through it, because I'm not always going to be there for you. So out of that developed the book, Laying the Foundations for Your Freedom.
Hold it up.
I
Sure.
have it right here.
There you go.
And it's a guide. It answers a lot of questions in deliverance, because a lot of times, in deliverance, people, they have a lot of doubts about deliverance, and there's some wishy-washy stuff that people are unsure about. And so there's a lot of lies that people believe about inner healing and deliverance. And so in the first chapters, we answer those questions. We answer, what is inner healing and deliverance? What is it not? Is it biblical? Can a Christian have a demon? How does a stronghold develop? And so all of those things, and even, do I need deliverance?
Wonderful.
And it goes that in that chapter takes you through a checklist to see if you need it. And really, if you read the checklist, all of us basically need it. It's good for everybody. And so it answers those questions. And then from there, I take them on a walk under the foundations. And that developed out of, the Lord asked me, how did I prepare you for your deliverance? Because I was very young when I started going through inner healing and deliverance. I didn't have all this kind of stuff. We didn't have the resources, back in the early 2000s, we didn't have that. And so the Lord had to take me back and remind me, because I started when I was 17. That was when I had my very first inner healing and deliverance week-long conference that I went to.
Okay.
And so the Lord showed me the journey that He took me on to prepare me so that I was ready to do that. And He started off with communication. How do you communicate with God? How is it okay to communicate with God?
Sure.
Who is God? Going through a lot of those things to really learn how, because a lot of people, they don't understand that they can talk to God like a normal person. And yes, we want to, pray to Him and we want to honor Him, but He's also our friend. And He wants us to talk like that. And so after I lay out the foundations for people, then I take them through 30 days to develop a habit of doing it.
Awesome.
And really what God did for me was I would randomly open up the Bible to Psalms, and I would just pick a Psalm for the day and I would read it, and the Lord would use it every single time I did that.
Wow.
And to really, I would read the Psalms of David and just see how he would talk to God, and like realizing that I can do that. And so then after they read that Psalm, and I also take them through some of Song of Solomon as well, and like I said, it's just random 30 days. It's
Incredible.
not even in any kind of order.
Wow.
And then I have them answer 5 questions, simple questions, and the questions are like, what stood out in the passage, and every day is the same. And then, why did this stand out to you?
So you're almost challenging their belief system through the scriptures.
Yes.
Is what you're doing there.
Yeah.
And you're having them write it down.
Right.
So that's locking it in their memory.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's
Yeah.
overriding some of the negative thoughts and beliefs that they may have come in with. You're training them to rewrite some of those negative thoughts and beliefs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. And then I also have them in there write back to the Lord, use that passage in the Bible to write back to the Lord something that they would say, and use that as a guide.
Wow.
To talk to the Lord. And so I've had a lot of feedback from this book, and a lot of people have said it's really good for, beginner believers and those who have been,
Sure.
In the Lord for a while. And, so a lot of people have really enjoyed it so far.
What else do you want to tell people about this book that is most important to you?
Really, I feel like this book takes a lot of the questions that people have about inner healing and deliverance out of the process, and takes a lot of the anxiety out. And I really want this book to be used for the body of Christ, to, for anyone to use it so that they can, for their ministries, because I feel like it's a good resource for anyone to, to help people to take out those questions from inner healing and deliverance, and to prepare their people for the healing process so that they can maintain it and keep it going on their own, and keep letting the Lord heal them on a daily basis.
So it's an ongoing tool set.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good. What a fantastic resource you've provided to people. Give us a 30-second on your second book now, because I wanted to touch on that too.
Yes.
But we've got so much to talk about, but I don't want to gloss over this.
So this is another resource. This is called Prayers to Restore My Heart, and it's a 30-day devotional to really give people a snippet of inner healing.
Right.
And it takes them through different aspects of inner healing. And it starts off from the beginning of, how does God see me?
Wow.
And it just gives you a verse, a short teaching, and a prayer. And so it's just another resource to help people to, maybe for someone who needs a taste of deliverance, or they need help in the ongoing process, or they just want a daily devotional to help keep them maintaining. So it's good for any of those kind of things.
Sure.
So
excellent. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you. Congratulations on your book.
Thank
and
you.
Both of them. That's really incredible. You're going to have those with you for IFG.
Yes.
At the conference.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I
Perfect.
will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is incredible. We're going to have a whole bunch of books, a book table for all of our authors, all of our deliverance ministers, and all of our ministries. So I want you to come. I want you to sign up. Go to christianharvestintl.org. Look at the event timeline. Look at the lineup of speakers and register. You're not going to want to miss this one. This is a power-packed event, and we are excited for this. But let's keep going. I've got some more things I want to dive into with you. We talked about your book. Let's spend a minute talking about IFG, International Freedom Group.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you know, as a founder, that International Freedom Group is a ministry targeted towards the deliverance leadership in the world. So we don't just have members that are in America. We're a worldwide, internationally known freedom ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And we've connected deliverance ministries to each other and to the network for the last several years. And our purpose is to bring a place that's comfortable, that's a place where leaders can receive ministry and healing and leveling up. Iron sharpens iron. We know that.
Yeah.
And so even as a deliverance minister, you know, we're in the trenches all day, every day.
Right.
Can we have a time where we can come together as leaders and just share and be in each other's company and be of like mind?
Yeah.
That's what IFG is offering. But at the same time, we're offering a place for anybody to come where we have open sessions, where if you would like to come and see what IFG is about, we're going to invite everybody in the community. You could travel in from anywhere and receive the incredible impartation from these leaders.
Yeah.
And Bethann is one of them who we've invited to speak this year. And I'm excited for your topic. Tell us a little bit about your topic and tease us a little bit about with what you're planning to talk about.
So the one thing that God has shown me recently is that there is no trauma in testing.
Come on.
Yeah, and that whenever the Lord takes us through that testing period, he is not, if there's trauma that comes out of there, it is not from God. And so we need to remember that there is no trauma in testing.
Okay, that's just a tease. There's no trauma in the testing. Listen to that, because there's healing in that phrase all by itself. If you take that phrase to the Holy Spirit, there's no trauma in the testing. Well, there is testing all around us. God will test us. Now, he will challenge us and he will expect the very best of us.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And that should not lead to trauma. And what you're saying is that if there's a traumatic event that comes from our testing, that was a demonic influence.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Okay. That's it. I don't want you to tell us anymore, because we're going to save it for the stage and we're going to save it for the event, because I'm really excited for that. Let's switch gears real quick. And we're still talking about IFG. Now, I'm gonna hit you with a little bit of something you might not expect. We asked you many years ago when we formed IFG if you would like to join as a founding member.
Yeah.
And I was surprised at your answer. You turned us down. You said no.
Yeah.
And I was very surprised, but I was also shocked in that I understood you knew your place in life. You knew where you were. And you knew that there were some things that you needed to do before you could commit to such a thing.
Yeah.
And now you are a founding member. What I'd like to do is see if you would be willing to talk a little bit about what happened in that time space.
Yeah. God was doing a lot in that season of my life. And one of the things, and I didn't even know that this was going to happen, but I had unexpectedly taken over our ministry house that we have in our church.
Wow.
And that had, right after I had told you that I couldn't, and I did not know that that was going to happen. That was very unexpected, but it was totally the Lord.
Wow.
And he was also had me going through Wagner University, like I said, where these books came out of. And so during that time, I was going to school. I was running the Inner Healing and Deliverance ministry and trying to get that off the ground, because I think I had just taken it over back in 2019.
Sure.
And so it was still very new and still trying to see what God was doing in that and learning. I was in the process of learning so much.
Wow.
And helping out, and then taking on another thing of taking on full-time live-in ministry. So that was, I didn't know it at the time because it was a very hard decision for me. Wow. But it was the Lord. Yeah. I knew what he wanted me to do, and I was surprised when it came back around because I let it go. It was actually very emotional for me. But because I was like, okay, Lord, if you're asking me to not do this right now, okay. Wow. So I never expected it to come back around. And so that was a blessing from the Lord. So
wow. What an incredible time for you.
Yeah.
You knew that it wasn't your time.
Yeah.
That had you accepted, that it may have actually pulled you sideways.
Yeah.
And you in the right wisdom, you made the right decision. And now several years later,
Yeah.
the Lord has maneuvered you in such a way that here you are, but you've
Yeah.
actually leveled up in your ministry. You've written your books, and
Yeah.
all of that is the result of
Mhm.
first saying yes to the Lord and what He wanted for you,
Yeah.
and saying no to the thing that you shouldn't have been involved in.
Yeah.
This is a fabulous case study for all of us who have great opportunities that present
Mhm.
themselves that are good ideas. And I'll be cliche for just a moment,
Yeah.
that they may not be God ideas.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
What a great example
Yeah.
of you following God ideas and not letting the good ideas side rail you.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your yes, and thank you for partnering with International Freedom Group. And I'm just really excited to see you again in July. One of the things that I would like for us to also key on is that in June, you are going to be doing a webinar for
Yes.
International Freedom Group. So this is a members only
Mm-hmm.
webinar. And we do these every month for for members only. And when you decide to join International Freedom Group, you get access to our leaders, to those who have been in the trenches, who are committed to seeing people set free in our culture, in our society today, who are bound by trauma,
Yeah.
to set them free and to see people brought to wholeness so that they can fulfill their destiny.
Yeah.
And Bethann will be teaching next month. And if you're interested in learning more about International Freedom Group, go to christianharvestintl.org. And then on that page, you'll see a link for International Freedom Group. Click that, learn all about what it would take to become a member of International Freedom Group. I'm excited to see you join. I'm excited to learn more about your ministry as we continue to pursue International Freedom Group. Bethann, thank you. This has been a great conversation, and I'm excited to see you in July.
Yeah. I'm excited to be there.